Hello, sewing friends, and welcome to another episode of Sequin Girly Creates. Welcome back if you're one of my lovely subscribers, and hello if you are new. Today's episode is a Friday sews. I know I haven't done a Friday sews for a while. Thank you to the lovely lady who set up Friday Sews, and how easy it is to help you search hashtag Friday Sews to find all the lovely channels out there talking about sewing on a Friday and getting us started for our weekend. I've done a Friday Sews this week because on Saturday you can see the final results of our Busy Bee Sewing Challenge. So the final challenge was to sew a bag from a free bag pattern. So watch out on Saturday because the 5 of us will be sharing our results. And Christine and I are also planning a review video as well. Today's episode is going to be split into 2 parts. So I'm going to do a little bit of sort of big sewing chat, and then the second half is going to be talking about my focus for autumn, which I've already mentioned a bit, which is on, I won't say maximalism, but it's not really maximalism, it's the details and the refinements and the twiddly bits, and just sharing some more thoughts and research around how I want to elevate my sewing. I think I'm going to call it that, sewing elevation. Okay, let's start with what I'm wearing. So I have on my wonderful very first Seasons of East Summer in New York dress that I made. It was my first invisible zip too. I have it today with a long sleeve, like sort of thin top underneath. Perfect for this sort of more transitional weather. Very much loving this for wearing to work. It's just so comfy, but I also feel swooshy as well. Next, I've got a bit of a confession. So if you've been following me and supporting me with my shopping ban, thank you. I have been working really hard on my shopping ban, and the aim was 3 months, and it was to get to sort of mid-October. Well, dun dun dun, I didn't quite make it. I made it 2.5 months. I think it's an acceptable reason. So when I go to work, I go to Slough, yes, the biggest industrial estate in England, and yes, the location of the office UK. And I drive around a lot for part of my job, and I've often seen this fabric shop called JB Fabrics, and I've driven past it, and today I had a bit of time, and I was like, I'm going to use my lunch break to pop in. It was a dangerous decision. I probably knew what was going to happen, but I also have never been in there. They don't have a website, so who knew? But of course, it ruined my ban. But I'm okay about that because actually the purpose of the ban, as I shared with you, was to really think about what I'm buying and why. To look out for and find plain fabrics because I hadn't been shopping for that, to really understand what I have and shop my stash, which you've seen me doing, and to remind myself before I panic buy all the time what I want to be, which is a sustainable sewer. And so I am happy that the effect that I wanted has been had. So I'm going to think about it. I am going to modify this, but I do want to be a non-fast fashion sewer and a really conscious sewer. So this is going to keep going in some way, shape or form. Thank you to everybody who supported me with my ban. I bet you want to see what I got, don't you? Well, I'm going to make you wait a couple of minutes because I want to tell you about where I went today. JB's Fabrics is in Slough. I will put their details in the information below. From the outside, they have the beautiful sari fabrics and everything. But when you step inside, they have one side of the shop, which is the gorgeous dresses for families going to traditional Pakistani, Indian, Hindu weddings, or people who just want to wear a beautiful dress of that style. They have all the sequins, the beads, but then on the other side of the shop they have bias binding, ribbons, all the sewing tools and delightful fabric. So I asked their permission. I'm going to put some videos up here while I'm talking and telling you about the shop. So I had a chat with lovely Nikki, who is the wife of the son who runs the shop now, but I also met the owner. The shop has been going for over 50 years, and it began life when she worked over 50 years ago in the Horlicks factory, and she asked the manager if she could sell fabric in her lunch break, and he said to her, as long as you do your work, yes you can. It then evolved into her pushing a pram around, and her son got a little bit older, and selling fabric door to door. And then she bought a flat above where the fabric shop is now, and people used to come to her house, and then they bought the shop, which they have, and she still owns it. She's still there every day. She packed my bag for me, and as I say, one of her sons runs it now with his lovely wife Nikki, and it is a gorgeous, small, long established UK business that has a wonderful selection. And I know we've talked about buying in person and so on, it's definitely worth a trip. So if you're anywhere where you can get to Slough within 45 minutes, an hour, I highly recommend it. I am thinking about organising a trip there for anyone who'd like to come with me, maybe one of my sewing socials or something. I'm a bit worried now because every time I go that way for work, I'll be factoring it into my lunch break. Lovely family, really kind, really helpful. And Nikki also said, because it's all jam-packed in, if you want a particular type of fabric, just ask her, because they'll know where it is, whether it's stacked under something or squeezed into a corner. There was some amazing knit sort of metallics. There was plissé fabric, like lots of colours of it, which I haven't seen anywhere, like plains and patterns. There was jersey, like plains. There was plenty of fabric there, like with metallics on, so that if you wanted to make like a Christmas or a festive or a party outfit, there was lots of gingham. My goodness, it was fabulous. So highly recommend a visit. They're, as I say, a wonderful family, and I will be going back. So let me show you what I got. I was as restrained as I could be. This gorgeous viscose, he said this was very, very popular, and they go on their own buying trips to choose the fabrics for their store. Look at that, look. £4 a metre, and it is gorgeous. They're almost like paint splodges. So I love that. So I got 3 meters of that. Now this is autumn in a fabric. I'm trying to work out what this is. It's a little bit more heavyweight. Could be a twill, I'm not sure. Get ready for it. Look at this, look at that. That is like, we know we've got an ace in our garden and the leaves go red and yellow, and I love that there's this bit of blue in it too. They had some African wax print style fabric there as well. Just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. I can't wait. Just imagine doing that with like an aqua piping or something. So I got 4 meters. That was £5 a metre. I'm saving the best till last. It's velvet, it's plissé, it's textured. That's the back. Look at this. Look at that, look. So when that's a skirt, so if I show you the texture on the back, like it's like that. So when you make that into a skirt, imagine how that will, if you cut that, look at that, look. They had it in purple as well, but I couldn't resist the green. I'm just thinking about like which way and oh my goodness. So go and visit JB's Fabric. I'll put all their info in below. As I say, really lovely, friendly family, and surviving for that amount of time as a small business in the UK is a pretty fantastic thing. And thank you for their lovely hospitality while I was there. I had a great time. Right, let's talk about what I've been up to this week. So tomorrow is the next sewing social, and then on Sunday I'm thinking of opening the booking for the next one. So if you're interested, make sure you email me at southernsocial@gmail.com to make sure you get on the list to know when it opens. Email is at the end of the vlog as well. So I've decided I'm going to sew my next Sirocco jumpsuit. It's all cut out and ready to go, so that's going to be my sewing social activity. I have done a lot of twiddly finishing off this week. So my Elodie wrap dress, I'll put a picture in here, the gingham and pink one, I did the strap, which I hadn't done, and I'm just hemming it. So I've been doing that. I was finishing off a Donny shirt, but what I would like to do with you is share my plans for the week coming. So give me a minute while I get what I need. Right, I'm back. Okay, so let's talk about plans coming up. And these are all focused on the autumn plans and things I've been talking about. So if you saw my Instagram stories last weekend, I've been thinking about waistcoats. And I do have, I think I shared it in my autumn plans, one waistcoat pattern, but I was checking out my local charity shops and look what I found. From 1977, and it's pattern 1983. It isn't from 1983, it's a style pattern, and it definitely is from 1977 because it says that on the side. You know I love to look for the age for that. And so I'd been thinking about waistcoats anyway. I was thinking about how they can winterize something that just keeps you a bit warmer, and also can sometimes break up a pattern. So if you've got something that's quite an intensely patterned or shaped top or dress, putting a waistcoat on just breaks it up a bit. Paige Joanna has some lovely styling ideas with waistcoats. So I'm going to crack this out. It is the one size pattern thing, but the great thing about a waistcoat is it should be pretty easy to adjust. So following on from what you will see in my Busy Bee sewing challenge on reusing things, because you know I want to reuse things, I have this skirt. Now I love the pleats, but it is the wrong length and the wrong size for me. So either way, anyway, it doesn't work for me, but I do love the fabric, and I think I can iron out the pleats as well. Yeah, and it's got a really generous hem. So I thought this would make a lovely waistcoat. Just imagine this over like some black or red trousers, a bit of mustard. So I was thinking about this, found this in the charity shop on the exact day I was thinking about that. That is the charity shop gods, if ever there was one. So there we go. So I'm going to be cutting that out and making that. I might line it because then it just creates a bit of extra warmth and prevents any itch. And then this, which I got from the lovely Adele, Sofa Serenity's D-stash. Okay, that was a D-stash, but couldn't not. How me is that? So this is going to become a Maya Sotis dress, but I'm going to winterize it. Now you might remember, and if you don't, you might want to go and look at my honest review of what I sewed for the summer versus what I wore. And one of the ones I shared was my Maya Sotis dress, this one here. And I said I need to work out why I don't wear it, so I will put a picture in. So I wore it the other day. We've had some nice warm days still. So I wore it, and I made sure I wore it all day to work out, is it just that I've just not been picking it up, or is there something about it that means I don't want to wear it? And I have worked it out. I've worked out that this on the back, whilst it fits perfectly when I'm stood up, when I start doing this kind of thing, it feels tight across here and across my back. And I've realised that other things I've sewn don't feel like that because they have a yoke and then some gathering in there, which gives you that ease. So I've realised that the Maya Sotis doesn't have that. It has lots of things I love, including like the back darts for shaping, but it doesn't have that sort of ease at the top. And then I remembered that I had made a sleeveless version as a top and was making a matching skirt. So I put this on the other evening and realised that this seemed to have more ease. So whether I was less generous with the seams or I cut a bigger size, but this one didn't have that problem when I started stretching my arms. So I am going to use the myosotis top part and then create a skirt of my choosing and a long sleeve dress using this fabric, and that is this week going to happen. So that's my plans for this week, or this weekend possibly. And then I saw on a lady I follow on Instagram called who's called Erica Davis, who does a lot on styling. She's got 2 great books out about finding your style. One of them I think is called Leopard is a Neutral or something. She did a whole wide calf boot range for John Lewis a few years ago, and she basically did the everybody's wearing does it work for me sort of thing the other day, and she put on a cream sort of knit fabric waistcoat, and she put it on with lots of other cream things, and I thought, my love of jersey, why don't I have a go at seeing if I can make a jersey waistcoat? Because just imagine how snuggly that would be and how sort of forgiving the fit would be. Well, I have this. I don't know if it's thick enough. I might have to double it up, and then I could do almost like some sort of top stitching. So I'm going to have a play and I'm going to have a think, because and I think that's enough to be getting on with for the week, especially as I've got the sewing social on Saturday as well. Don't forget, if you haven't booked your place on the free webinar about how to set up a sewing social, head over to the virtual sewing room, and she has tickets on Eventbrite for free where you can hear myself, Christine and Ruth talk all about what it's like to go to a sewing social and also how to set one up. Here is a random shopping thing that has nothing to do with sewing but everything to do with creating and colour. These were in the sale in TU, so Sainsbury's clothing. I firmly believe that shoes can make or break an outfit. I will share my shoes with you another time. Every now and again a pair will pop up in part of my outfit on Instagram. And these were £4 or something. But look at that pink, and if you imagine these with this dress, see the way the pink brings out in that, yeah? And so a nice pair of bright plain shoes can really sort of bring a pop to it. So now what's going to happen is I'm going to it's going to cut, I'm going to change to a different outfit because I recorded this other bit separately where I want to talk to you about elevating my sewing. I read an article recently, which annoyingly I can't find, but was an article about sort of street furniture and sort of door knockers, and I think it was something like making everything around us very utilitarian. So by that, the article was talking about the fact that bollards are now just straight round curves. They used to be very ornate. Door knockers the same, even a doorbell plate used to be beautifully decorated. Now they're just very utilitarian. There is another sort of name for a series of architectural things called brutalism. And I thought it was a really interesting article because it sparked my thinking about what I've been saying about wanting those little details back in the clothes that I sew. So if we start with the things in our daily life, they have all become streamlined, sleeker, or just plain. And this isn't about a move towards modern or minimalism. I do feel that there is a move towards, particularly with mass production, that it's about speed and efficiency and cost saving. If you look at the Georgian era, I know I jumped a few there, but if you look at the Georgian era, the cut of the dresses, if you think of, you see all like the Bridgerton and things like that, look at the cut, the style, the ornateness, the work, look at the men's jackets, all of those sorts of things. And again, remember, it's only the people who could afford to get it. Then we jump to the Victorian era. Look at the sleeves. Now, I have no desire for us to go back to the corsets, but even like the lapels on a jacket, lots of work, lots of detail. Now, okay, we could say that that was to make the people who could afford it to stand out from those who couldn't. We could look at a whole social history around classism and everything, but that's not what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is the fact that all the way up to the 50s, the level of detail, so that became more accessible for more people. Piping around pockets, peplums, different layers, and all those tiny little bits. Now, yes, okay, a lot of clothes were still handmade then. There was factories, there was mass production. It's okay, let's lift and shift and put the fast fashion to one side. Let's look at clothing patterns. Because clothing patterns were originally designed to allow more people to have access to things that they perhaps couldn't afford and to make their own clothes because it made it affordable. Making our own clothing now is not, and I have talked about that in the Sewing Lies and Myths vlog, if you want to watch that. I talk about that a lot in there, that actually sewing our own clothes is not really now a hobby of producing something at home that is cheaper. I think let's take the Marley blouse. That's a really good example of actually having some gorgeous pleats. I did a little search actually on YouTube for sewing an interesting yoke on a blouse. I could find loads and loads of videos on how to do the burrito method. I could find one video, which I'll link below, of a lady who took a man's shirt. She got some burgundy fabric, she embroidered it, and she actually made the shirt into a Western shirt. But it was the minority what I found, not the majority. So I am on a mission to take the patterns I've got, learn some other techniques and add them in. Rosary Apparel is someone who has done this, by the way, with some of her things. She's done smocking, which she shows. I think she might have bought a smocking machine. If she hasn't, someone else I follow has. She's done hand smocking. She's looked at some of these details. So this is what I'm talking about. If we're going to craft our clothes, let's craft them with detail. So I'm really going to push myself this autumn and winter to do this. So I'm just going to pop some pictures in here. I looked at some mainstream things and I could find a couple of lovely things. So I found on Marks and Spencer's an amazing sleeve. I found a dress that was fully sheared or shirred, depending on how you say it, from sort of the whole torso. That I thought was really interesting. I found in Monsoon, which you probably won't be surprised at, some embroidery on a waistcoat and some amazing embroidery on a dress. And I have been looking, somebody did leave me a message, my others, looking for just the things like the 1980s collars, the details on the pockets. I'm going to look at trying to get a bit of a peplum in. I just really feel like we don't have to live a maximalist life in every way to have a little bit of ornateness in our clothes. I really enjoy the patterns I sew. I really enjoy, as you've probably seen, combining fabrics, making the decisions. But what I want to do now is really enjoy that elevation, and I've got to collect ideas. So Paige Joanna did a lovely thing with the rickrack just poking out the edge of a collar. She did that, I think, on a Donny shirt. I'll put a picture in. I've started doing it in collars, so I'm going to focus on collars and doing bits on there. I've seen Fruit Moth. The Fruit Moth does some refashioned men's shirt where she takes the fabric from the lower half and adds like an extra collar underneath here. And from a distance, it's just a layer to the fabric. When you get up close, there's this amazing bit of collar. Lots of us enjoy choosing fabulous buttons to add. That's one part. But what else can we do? More piping, I think definitely more piping is needed. Sleeves are having a great moment, I have to say. There's plenty of great sleeves going on. I think there's more, and I'm going to push myself with the sleeves. We're even starting to talk about, I think it's called the sleeve head, isn't it? The bit underneath, the peony dress by Fabric Godmother, talking about the sleeve bed underneath, or sleeve head underneath, to create the puffing. We're seeing lots of puff sleeves. I've seen some people doing some beautiful tulip sleeves. So I want to really sort of refine. I want to really do a good quality leg of mutton sleeve. I'm going to focus, as I say, on collars, on yoke. So I'm going to push myself in like the Donny shirt to create a new shape to the yoke and then shape the back piece to go with it, because I just think it'll bring something. I have done piping before, but I can really feel some piping in that bit along the yoke at the back. So watch this space as I give it that little extra something, because I think that we can do that by being sewists. We just need the inspiration. So I'm going to keep bringing you the ideas, and I'm definitely going to do that. Love to hear your thoughts and ideas on this. Love to hear your recommendations. You might think, I don't agree with you at all. I love my simplistic bits and pieces. Or you might think, actually, I could incorporate this into that, but it's something worth thinking about and exploring. Hope you're having a great week, and I'll catch you soon.